Good morning, everybody. We should have known the market would be up after that nasty sell-off yesterday. Good morning. Was resistance before a nice big red bar. Interesting. All right, let's see what things are at here. It's you know what, you learn from these markets over time. I've been doing this almost 30 years, and how things, different markets, environments form differently. Whether is this a bottom? Well, I look at the S&P 500, the futures here, and it's like, in no way would I bet that that's a bottom. The start of a bottom, maybe. Our internals mildly support that, but as you can see, you got a lower high, a lower low. We're going to see if this is going to make a lower high and then a retest, or whether it goes sideways. In any event, as we look at patterns and say, is this something that I want to buy here? Right? And for me, I say no. While this isn't marked as a pivot because it doesn't have 3 to the left, you got this red bar up. I know that it's a resistance point right there, which is probably this area right here, right? And so it's got multiple resistance points. There is not a void. What we explain as being a void of resistance or reference points to the left, whereas this move up, the momentum move up, created a void. And so ideally, this would have spiked all the way back down here and made some kind of a turn with a void above, and that would have been an attractive, viable event. So far, we've just got these wide range bars whipping up and down. Is this a bottom? I would say not at least with some sideways consolidation. So now, where does this end today? And we'll see at 4 o'clock. But if we should see a red bar ignored, and more so in the Nasdaq than what we're seeing here, because this is just a mess. And up at resistance here, we're going to see what this does within the next 30 minutes or so. No, of course, it's not a convincing bottom, Joe. But I'm explaining the nuances of turning points, which we're going to discuss in MT Live tomorrow at noon. I'll drop that in for you guys in YouTube in a little while, the link, but it'll be on YouTube as well. But this kind of a pattern, regardless of what it is that we're trading, the futures, a stock, an ETF, or whether we're intraday trading on a 5-minute time frame, this is not an attractive pattern to be trading. It's just too wild, up and down. Now, can you trade inside of these bars in smaller time frames? Sure. That's been somewhat erratic as well. So the market is just trying to figure out what is going on here with, there's $1 trillion sitting over here that isn't used, and here's another 2 trillion that we're going to throw out, and we're going to use some of it now and some for this and some for that. And then, in 2 years, we'll use something else, and interest rates going up. We're like in a crazy house, coronavirus, this, wear a mask, go get this injection of who knows what. Is it working? Some people are dying from it. Others, so it's a special time, just like last March or so when the things fell apart was a special time. But at least we got a warning from the yield curve, which I'd shown you. Anyway, it is what it is, as we say. And this mess will pass over time. So what Dan and I do every day, whether it's here on YouTube or in the green room, is educate about the nuances of these patterns, as well as giving recommendations so that you guys can take that into the future. Sentiment is interesting. I've covered this. It hasn't changed that much from the other day. Kind of flipped up a little bit. I've explained about the bands and how it came down to the bottom green band. Um, and so while historically, going back decades of information, this level would not be considered bullish. Based on these bands, which I created, which not seeing this particular situation in all of this time, I have some doubt. Nonetheless, buyers are stepping up, but it's just a messy pattern where we've got breadth having come to a bullish level. And this finally tagged the lower band. But like I said earlier in the week, I'd wish this thing would come down. And if things turn around and this would come down again and this poke down toward the bottom band, I would be much more comfortable initiating positions, from a more intermediate term point of view. But this is not an attractive pattern. Now, we've got this gap up, just looking at SPX here. It's gapping deeply up into this topping tail bar, which, just more erratic price action. But so sentiment isn't telling us too much. But look, even yesterday, it closed below 0.80. Now, on a closing basis, if the markets had been rising for a while and we saw this level, right, that would be somewhat bearish. But just point of information, if the market was rallying over the last several months, in an uptrend and going higher, a bearish level on a closing basis would be down here at around 0.5. And historically, that would mean we're probably going to see a bearish reversal within the next several days. We don't have that now. And so now, where I've got this red line, it's become more of the new normal, as you can see over the last several months. So we say markets change, information changes, intermarket analysis. At one point, nobody gives a darn about interest rates, and all of a sudden that becomes an influential piece of information that you need to pay attention to, and why as professional traders and investors, we need these tools to pay attention to on a regular basis. All right, so let's continue. Let's take a look at the spiders for a second, just to get a focus on this gap. 386. Look at where this was yesterday, right? And now it's gapping up deeply into this topping tail bar. Where does that put us? In the middle of a mess. So there was a little selling there, and we'll see where this day ends. But there's lots of good-looking stock patterns out there that are developing. So we always talk about the broader markets. Well, you can say, well, the broader market can only corrected 5%, so on from the past. Meanwhile, XYZ has been decimated, or something like this, which is now down over 20%. So, just a measure of the broader markets is one measure. What happens to a particular sector or an individual stock can be a whole nother story. They had these ARK ETFs. Was it ARKK was one of them, I think. Yeah. So this was, monster bullish move. And so you need to have a plan, right? So where's this going to go down to? Well, I would imagine down here. I got alerts down here at $100, looking at the daily charts. Yeah. You've got the 200-day down there, which makes me think that, hey, if now it's gapping up. I wish the market was gapping down, tell you the truth. But this is now gapping up here. So as we look at the Nasdaq, obviously institutions think that they should be accumulating down here, regardless of the S&P being a mess. So if you take out some of these tech stocks, the market looks a lot different, which we were discussing yesterday in the green room. This backed off quite a lot. But when you make it equal weighted, that's an attractive pattern. So different markets, different views, different opinions, which is what creates the uncertainty and these patterns of wide bars overlapping each other and this craziness that we're seeing right now. So here we have Nasdaq futures, and you can see they're just back and forth. And this is, I spoke about this yesterday as that what we wanted to see, although this came down in a semi-climactic way, we wanted to see this kind of stay down here or maybe go a bit lower and build this intraday base where these bars would be going back and forth. So we don't know where this one's going to end, but assuming that it does, and it goes sideways here, you see the drop. This is the idea of a void, is to get a sharp drop and then a sideways move over time that moves prices away from the resistance areas. So if it can get through here, that opens up the door to at least a short term, nice move up into this area right here. But the further we get away from that, the greater the likelihood of getting that type of a move. Whereas if it would have started here, right, we know darn well the sellers are going to be aggressive because the pain is new. And over here it begins to dissipate. People get out, right? Here's the next drop, and people are convinced it's going to go down because it looks like it's going to keep going down, and buyers show up again. The Dow pushing up to a new all-time high, right? Backed off yesterday, right? And inside so far, but pushed up to a new all-time high. We got the Russell. It's coming up into its mess. Bonds, down here on the support level, buyers beginning to show up here. Still in a pretty steady downtrend. Like, over there to the left is support. So buyers begin to accumulate here. Maybe it goes a little lower, goes sideways. We'll see how that shapes up. And we've got oil just hanging up here. There's that resistance over there to the left. So far it's holding. Gold up a bit. This is this new stimulus passes. Bitcoin has been the said to be the new measure for inflation and fiscal irresponsibility by our elected officials. And here it is, pushing back up toward the other high, the old high there. And silver, of course, is going to try and turn around as well. And big back off yesterday, but still a new all-time high. So if you believe in the Dow theory, the Dow and the transports hitting new all-time highs together, this is a bull market. And we don't deny that based on the weekly and monthly time frames. But even within a bull market, right, stocks get creamed that are out of favor, and ETFs. So just because it's a bull market, it doesn't mean you can't lose a substantial amount of money. Right? All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, Jake, we can take a look at that. But yeah, Bitcoin's gapping up to all-time highs here. So I don't know why. I'm not a Bitcoin trader. Yeah, all our opens are fine. And remember, we had a number of things go against us yesterday on these put spreads, and people were asking me, should we adjust them? And I said, let's just wait for today. Maybe we get lucky and get a gap up. And so far, we're getting lucky. Yeah, so it's gapping up. Q's 306.83. We're short the 295s, so that's almost $12 away. We have Google, Netflix, RK. We entered NOV yesterday, put spread. All right, but here's Birdie. 54 thick, so it's right here. I mean, it looks higher, Jake. Yesterday was a bullish bar. Target would be somewhere near the prior highs. Hey, does anybody in here, are you allowed to trade options on Bitcoin? Because we posted last week selling the $8,000 put on Bitcoin just for next month. It was like 23 days. And it had a $10 bid. And I know you just have to have an account that allows you. It had 75 open interest. Yeah, McGraw, just hit /BTC and then they will come up. So I told Greg, I'm like, I gotta find an account where I can do that. I think that could be that's John, there are options in your drop down. Go to /BTC and there's calls and there's puts and there's open interest. So that there are options. We just correct. They're not cost does not allow us to trade them, but that doesn't mean that they ain't being traded elsewhere. So we just gotta, I did some Google search and I'd just rather have talked to one of you all that have done the research and trust a company. Yeah, Riot and Mara are the typical go-tos. Here's Riot, $44. You know, there's no patterns here. All right, well, that could be just the same thing. It could just mean that they're not available there to trade. That doesn't mean, McGraw, where would open interest come from? And why would they show calls and puts? Diego AAL. That one's a mess, but I have on my list over here. Look at Hawaiian Airline. I like. You know, those, you know, so many things got these the little sell off here, but it's kind of a bull flag here. Kind of a bull flag. Nice 15. So I like HA, and I also like JetBlue. Look at what happened with this yesterday. The only problem is, can you believe the monthly? This thing is back to pre-COVID levels. And Gustavo works for them, as you all know. He actually was in training this weekend for JetBlue in Orlando. But you know, he laughs at thinking the valuation is the same. He's flying around cargo and empty airplanes. It's just amazing. This that's just it's mind-boggling to me. Yeah, Macy's over yesterday's high, Glenn. It's already posted. I like them. And Diego, A, B, and B. There's there's no pattern. Maybe day trade, but yesterday I think we did a phenomenal job getting into beautiful daily setups. Um, Looking at BCE, LEN, um, NSP. I mean, so many things that have good patterns. But we're finding these in the middle of mess. So yeah, I looked at jets also, and you see how both my Hawaiian Airlines and what I say, JetBlue, those two have better patterns than this. This one still is a mess. Let's go to some gappers here. All right, so this one, it's in a downtrend, bullish gap, bullish pre-market. So 30-minute high, that's a day trade idea. Play, Play. Look, here's another one. This is a pinball store and restaurant. Look at that amazing, started in November. It's playing the reopening trade. But this is a potential long, and it's also, I posted as a put spread. That looks good. Supply, Hawaiian, JetBlue, GNOG, gaming, prior spec. There's no pattern. You know, that's what you hear me say over and over and over and over and over again. No pattern, no trade. I don't even get to my other traits. Triple R. I like the 15. So maybe 15-minute high would be okay, day trade. And Dash was negative this morning. It was down $4. So I wanted to keep an eye on that as a bear call credit spread. X wide range igniting yesterday, bottoming pattern. Let's see if we get a 1, 2, 3 would be nice on that. Bets, this is the ETF. Maybe 30-minute high. I noticed dunking came down pretty darn hard. Like Chewy. Now, see, I have to blow this chart up because I need to see what's over to the left here because that's a powerful down move. And voila, voila. If we could get a reversal right here at the 200, right where this broke out from, then I would do a put spread on that. Expedia, yeah, that was on my list yesterday, but I canceled it. But that's still worth watching, sure. I think it ran too much in the morning. SFIX, this is a nasty gap, 53. Maybe it sells off more, and maybe the Magic 200 will change it. Taco, restaurants, gapping up here. There's a DRI, another restaurant. That's been the strongest one. Gardens. Arts, no pattern. These are earnings stocks. Place. This one's strong. The gap's a little big for me. It's $5 gap, but this is a bullish daily, weekly, monthly. We'll come back to it. AHC had earnings, wide range igniting, 50% gap down. Lauren, HP and Lila. This was your wide range igniting. It's far from the 20, so it needs to retrace or consolidate. Lila. That's what we call kind of a churning uptrend. Monthly still has room. Far from the 20 also. I'd like to, let it go sideways some more. GNMK alarm went off. We're in this from yesterday. So now we can tighten the stop. I'll leave it for now. Let it settle down. A tick is 1,000. Pop a mic. No pattern. So it's in a trading range mess. But talking about Papa Mike, Mo, the competitor, Mighty Mo, was a fantastic gap trade yesterday. I just didn't see it until it was too late. But Mighty Mo was fantastic. O had earnings. We'll come back to him, maybe a put spread. This is garbage. No trading range, no pattern. No pattern. Echo Hotel. Eyes. This thing's been on fire recently. I don't know if this is a